You are listening to the Vibrant Life Podcast, episode 62. People are just people, and that's amazing. The Vibrant Life. Hey, you. Welcome to the Vibrant Life Podcast. I'm Emily Romrell, and I'm happy to be back as part of your day for just a few minutes. Thanks for connecting with me in such a special way. You know, I'm not perfect at this, but I've had quite a few people ask me about the process of doing a podcast. And like any writer, I'm sure everyone has a unique process. But I do think there are a couple of things that are essential. I think it's important to find a focus niche or a theme. And people like to know the general space you want to show up in, right? And the possibilities really are endless, but you do have to give your audience some expectations, and that way they can actually be your audience, right? Then you got to have something to say. And that can seem intimidating, I think, but for me anyway, I'm never really short on ideas. I actually keep a running list of ideas that I add to whenever a new notion strikes. And my current list is pretty big. It's up to around 200 topics, I think. And I don't say that to come off as arrogant in any way, but just to showcase that inspiration is absolutely everywhere. And that might be my biggest piece of advice for any creative person or artist. Just start keeping track of your ideas, and that way you're never starting from scratch. But once you have an idea and you write it down, it kind of percolates in your mind, marinates a little bit until you decide to take action and actually make something out of it. It's amazing what our brains do for us, even when we don't really pay attention. And then when you are ready to pay attention, kind of magic can happen sometimes. So definitely, I would advise you, if you're thinking about doing any kind of creative project, start just keeping a list of ideas. And then when I am ready to sit down and put the podcast together, I look over my thoughts and choose something that gets me excited. And I may not be excited in the sense that the concepts I share sometimes might be heavy or serious, but I do feel really motivated inside to share that particular thing with you at that specific time. And so for me, it's a really good balance because I have a backup of material, and then it also allows me to be a little spontaneous, which really is a must for my own happiness when I get creative. So if you are thinking about doing a podcast or starting another project, I hope this offers some encouragement. If I can do it, guys, you absolutely can. I'm not really special in that way, but I do believe deep down in my soul that the potential of every human on the planet is extraordinary and miraculous. And within that belief is the fascinating truth that we are all simultaneously special. And that might seem like a contradiction, but it's really not. You know, it's just the way this crazy, beautiful life is. Anyway, I know this has been a big build-up for the topic on today's episode, but I found out just recently that Queen Elizabeth II passed away, and it feels like the timing is ideal for this idea. And the name of this podcast is People Are Just People, and that's amazing. And I don't want to take anything away from Queen Elizabeth because she really was an amazing person. Actually, let's just take a quick look at her life. She wasn't even originally in line to be queen, and she only became queen after her uncle abdicated his throne and made her father king. And so that was kind of a twist of fate. She is the world's longest reigning monarch, and she just recently celebrated 7 decades on her throne. She loves dogs and is famous for loving corgis that follow her around everywhere. She was a mechanic in World War II and worked on ambulances and trucks, and she really did have an exceptional life. But sometimes I think when a very public figure dies, or when someone does something extraordinary, the rest of us may feel like we don't make as much of a difference. And that is false, my friend. I'm here today to tell you that we all make a huge difference. And it's just that some people happen to be more visible than others, but we're all just people, and that's amazing. The next person I want to highlight today is a young girl who only lived to be 16 instead of 90 something, however old Queen Elizabeth was. This person was only 16 years old, but the difference she made in history was just as impactful as that of a queen. And I'm talking about a little Jewish girl named Anne Frank. And she was actually born in Germany, and her family moved to the Netherlands in an attempt to escape the Nazis, but unfortunately that move couldn't stop the hatred from forcing the family into hiding for 2 years in Amsterdam. And I remember reading this book I think I was required reading junior high or somewhere around there. But anyway, Anne kept a diary, and she started this diary when she was only 13 years old. But her words have echoed forward into time, reaching to us in 2022, decades after she died. And she talks about her life in hiding. She talks about her hopes and her dreams as a teenager, and how she believes, even after everything that she's going through, that there is still good in the world. And her stay on the planet was not very long, but dang, she made a difference, right? And so those are kind of two contrasting examples, maybe. And right now you might be thinking, all right, Emily, but I'm not living in a crazy situation like Anne Frank, and I'm definitely not a queen, so how do I make a difference? Well, a couple things. First, I want to point out that I'm 36, and just in my lifetime, from 1986 to 2022, a lot of crazy history has happened. The Spaceship Challenger blew up just the day after I was born. I was really young, and I remember a lot of talk about the AIDS crisis and all the devastation that caused. I remember the Berlin Wall coming down when I was young. Y2K happened, and we were all worried about the computers going to crash as the new century came around. I know some of us were born in the 1900s, right? And now we're in the next century, but the internet has boomed. The world is so much more connected now. And we have computers in the palms of our hands and our phones, and we can even FaceTime people across the world like something out of Star Trek, right? I remember an incredible solar eclipse a few years ago. We had 9/11, obviously, whose anniversary is just a few days away. Also, 9/11 is my mom's birthday, so happy birthday coming up, Mom. Definitely love you. So, lots of history, and even in just the last few years, we've had a worldwide pandemic. There's been a lot of, political tensions and things, but honestly, I think the good is getting better, the bad is getting worse. But my point is, we're all living through history all the time, and we individually impact history just by living it. Just by reaching out to our neighbors, family, and friends, we leave an imprint on this world. So who knows, maybe you should start keeping a diary, and people might react to your words in years to come. That might be pretty amazing, huh? But more than that, I want you to know that you make a difference just by being you. It makes me think of Mr. Rogers, which is another thing from my childhood. But Mr. Rogers had the right idea, my friends. He knew how true that statement is. And I can actually hear him singing in my head right now. You are my friend, you're special to me. Do you guys remember that song, if you're old enough? I think that friendship might be the most powerful force in existence, because true friendship is a pure form of love, and nothing makes a bigger difference than that, right? At Christmas time, my family loves to watch It's a Wonderful Life, starring Jimmy Stewart. You might know it too. It's a fabulous movie. It's a story of a man who dreams of leaving his small town home and traveling the world. He just wants to see the world. But he never gets his wish. Instead, he stays in his little hometown, and he takes over the family business, which is a savings and loan company. And his business is to help families buy their first homes and and just live, right? Get loans to build their lives. And right before Christmas, some money goes missing, and the main character, George, is pretty sure that his business is about to go under, and he's not going to have any means to support his family. And in his desperation, he wishes that he was never born. And if you've ever been like really sad or really depressed, maybe you've had that wish, and I'm sorry if you've had, but don't stay there, because this is a movie, but it holds a good truth. And George gets a Christmas miracle in the form of an angel who shows him that what the world would be like without him. And his brother would have died young. His childhood employer would be in prison. The whole town basically would have been taken over by this evil, greedy man who just wants to conquer everything. And the love of his life, Mary, would end up an old maid, and his children never would have even been born. The world would be much, much worse without George Bailey, right? And I know, again, that was a movie, but it holds the truth that I'm trying to offer you today, and that is that every single human in this world makes a difference. You make a difference, and the kind of difference you make is up to you. But a good place to start is just to love the people that you come into contact with. You never know how those ripples of love are going to change the world. You don't have to be a queen. You don't have to be a young girl in Nazi territory who wants to be a writer. You don't have to be famous at all, because people are just people. And that's amazing. But we all make a difference, and we are all special. So it's kind of a short and sweet message, but I hope it rings true for you today. And the challenge this time is just to have a little more love in your life. Follow those things that you're passionate about. If you want to get creative, maybe start a list of ideas as they come to you. But just live more, love more. That's really what being part of this world is about. And that's what living a vibrant life is all about. So I'm sending you all my love out to you through the void with all my heart today. And I hope you have a fabulous week, my friends. Live the vibrant life.